there's nothing great about taking punishment, being able to talk, voicing your opinion, and then when you're in a position where you can't talk and you can barely walk, the world want to say that, oh. He don't see this fight going the distance. Neither does I.
He went 12 hard rounds with him, so he knows exactly how good Manny Pacquiao is. Floyd Mayweather has issued a serious warning to Mario Barrios about taking on Pac-Man, believing the young contender is making a big mistake by accepting a fight against the seasoned, battle-tested legend. While the popular narrative favors Barrios for his youth and hunger, Floyd holds an unpopular opinion. He believes Manny still has what it takes to beat the WBC welterweight champion. Let's take a look at exactly what Floyd had to say as he urged Barrios to tread carefully heading into this fight. Boxing is a young man's sport, or at least that's what they say. The reflexes fade, the legs slow down, and the punches don't land quite the same. But what happens when an old fighter still moves like he did 15 years ago? What if he can still keep up with and beat the new blood of the sport? That's exactly the situation Manny Pacquiao finds himself in today at 46 years old. Pacquiao is far past the typical retirement age for most fighters, but here's the twist: he doesn't look like it. He's still lightning fast, his footwork is sharp, and that signature explosiveness hasn't gone anywhere. While many analysts are quick to point out that Mario Barrios has youth and momentum on his side, not everyone is counting Manny out. In fact, a few boxing legends are speaking up, and they're putting their money, figuratively of course, on Pac-Man. One of those legends is Vasily Lomachenko, who recently said that age won't be a factor for Manny. In this fight, according to Loma, Pacquiao still moves just as well as he did a decade ago, and coming from a guy like Lomachenko, arguably one of the most technically gifted fighters of our time, that's high praise.
Very strong, he's very, very fast, and still Manny Pacquiao looks like 10 years ago.
But the more surprising supporter, none other than Floyd Money Mayweather. Yes, that Floyd Mayweather, the same guy who fought Pacquiao in 2015 in what was billed as the fight of the century, the same guy who by many accounts outboxed and outpointed Manny over 12 rounds to secure a unanimous decision. But despite that victory, Floyd isn't dismissing Pacquiao's chances in this upcoming showdown with Barrios. In fact, he's issuing a warning to the younger fighter. One of the most important things about my
career was my defense.
Career was my defense. You know, now some people brush off Manny's legacy simply because he lost to Floyd, but let's be real, losing to Mayweather isn't exactly something to be ashamed of. Floyd dominated an entire generation of fighters. He's one of the smartest, most elusive boxers the sport has ever seen. If anyone knows exactly how good Manny Pacquiao is, it's the man who shared the ring with him for 36 minutes. And what's Floyd saying now? He believes that Barrios is making a mistake, a big mistake. Floyd's take is that Barrios may be underestimating what it means to step in the ring with someone like Pacquiao. It's not just about age or even speed, it's about experience, ring IQ, and that relentless fighting spirit that Manny brings every time he steps through the ropes. According to Floyd, Pacquiao's still got it, and he's warning Barrios not to take that lightly.
Day in and day out, you go out there and you produce, and that's what it's really about. It's about producing. A hell of a training team, okay?
Think about it, Pacquiao isn't some retired legend making a comeback to collect a paycheck. This isn't an exhibition, this isn't a novelty act. He's stepping back into the ring to win, and if you followed his career at all, you know Manny doesn't do things halfway. The man is a machine when it comes to discipline, training, and preparing for war. Of course, that doesn't mean Barrios is a pushover. He's got youth, reach, and a hunger to prove himself. He's been impressive in his recent outings, and there's no doubt he's looking at this fight as his big moment, the chance to add a legend to his resume. But that's where things get dangerous. Overconfidence against a guy like Pacquiao can cost you everything.
Manny has so much experience. That man, he could get through anything. You know, as long as they have the right plan, whatever they do, man, they have that.
Let's not forget what makes Manny special: the angles, the footwork, the combinations that come out of nowhere. Those are things you can't prepare for by just watching tape. You've got to live it in the ring, and by the time you realize what's happening, you might already be on the canvas.
When I was in the back, Leonard said,
he don't see this fight going a distance. Neither does I.
Floyd's concern seems rooted in respect. He knows firsthand how tricky Manny can be. Despite winning their bout, Mayweather had to be at his absolute best to outpoint Pacquiao. That wasn't an easy night, and he knows Barrios might be walking into a far tougher test than he realizes. When you're Floyd Mayweather, one of the most dominant and undefeated fighters in the history of boxing, people are always curious who gave you the toughest fight after. All Floyds faced a who's who of boxing legends: De La Hoya, Canelo, Mosley, Hatton, and more, but when Floyd was asked which opponent truly pushed him to the limit, his answer wasn't just interesting, it was a huge compliment.
At any point, did a fighter ever make you feel like...
Floyd said that when he thinks back on the hardest fights of his career, one stands out. He remembers being in the third or fourth round, realizing that the battle ahead would be long, grueling, and unlike anything he'd experienced before. That fight was against Manny Pacquiao.
No, but I've been in a fight. I get like in the third or fourth round, like tonight gonna be
Yep, the Filipino boxer who carved his name into boxing history by winning titles in an unprecedented 8 weight divisions, starting at 108 pounds and climbing all the way to 154. Think about that, from flyweight to light middleweight, beating top-tier fighters and knocking them out along the way. Floyd admitted that Pacquiao was relentless. I had to keep my distance, he said, because Manny just wouldn't stop coming forward every second, every round. Pacquiao was charging ahead, looking to land punches from wild angles, and Floyd knew, even with all his defensive brilliance, that this wasn't a guy you could afford to get careless against.
One of the best fighters I faced was Manny Pacquiao. He's one. I mean, he's a future Hall of Famer.
What the is it about Manny, man? He just don't stop coming.
But you know me, I keep my distance because he's real short. I keep my distance.
Turning in another interview, Floyd expressed how amazed he was at Pacquiao's career. How could someone climb so many divisions and remain dangerous in every single one? It's not just that Manny moved up in weight, it's that he destroyed opponents along the way, often with spectacular knockouts. That kind of power, speed, and durability across divisions is something we might never see again.
I just want to say this to the world. It's amazing how a fighter can come from, I think, 108 all the way to 154 and knock out all these guys. To me, it's amazing. I guess he's just...
But it wasn't just the resume that impressed Floyd, it was the experience of actually fighting Pacquiao. Floyd went on to say that Manny Pacquiao was the best fighter he ever faced in the ring. Let that sink in, coming from a guy who's never lost a professional fight, who shared the ring with so many elite names. That's one of the highest compliments you can give. According to Floyd, what made Manny so difficult was his flashy movement, the awkward angles, the unpredictable footwork, the punches that came from directions nobody else could manage. It was all part of what made Pacquiao so special.
The best fighter I fought probably was Manny Pacquiao because of his movement.
While facing him, Floyd had a realization. This is why Pacquiao has beaten so many top fighters. It wasn't just speed or aggression, it was the subtle, unique things Manny did in the ring that no one else could copy, movements that couldn't be mimicked, let alone defended.
He's a hell of a fighter, and I can see why he won so many fights, and I can see why he's going down as a Hall of Famer. It's just certain moves.
And when Pacquiao eventually retired, Floyd didn't hesitate to praise him. He called Manny one of the best fighters of all time, giving him GOAT respect for all the pre-fight trash talk and rivalry between them. When it was all said and done, Floyd showed nothing but admiration.
Look at guys like Sugar Ray Robinson. You guys look at certain fighters like Muhammad Ali. There's nothing great about taking punishment, being able to talk, voicing your opinion, and then when you're in a position where you can't talk and you can barely walk, the world want to say that